So yeah, maybe you can tell me a little bit about what you feel some of you and the board's greatest accomplishments have been while you've been in office.
Just one greatest accomplishment or
Uh,
many?
name about two or three if you like.
Because I feel like I feel like everything we've done has been like a great accomplishment because everything has only been for the benefit or betterment of our community and our residents. Um, so a lot of the things that we've been like implementing has been helpful for business owners and for our residents. So we have a facade improvement grant program for small businesses that were struggling or may need additional assistance beyond the PPP or any federal assistance. If they need a uplift, awning, windows, or anything, or improvements, infrastructure inside, interior, and exterior. So we have a 50-50 matching grant program. So you would get your contractor, fill out the application, and contractor will uh, write down all the needs, what it would cost, materials, installing, and once you get the final rate, say if it's 50,000 or 47,000, you turn in your application. It goes through the board for a review. Any questions, they'll come to the committee of the whole meeting so we can kind of go over discussions. For example, if you have perfectly good windows, why are you replacing windows? Um, Things of that nature. But mainly, if there's an older structure, because a lot of our buildings are older, you're gonna need a facelift. So we don't really question those that are like if there was an accident on Ridge and someone drove into their building and they need a whole front or the door is old or something like that. But it's mainly like the facelift on the outside, but then the inside structural also is included. So we have this it's a grant matching program for small business owners. So that's an accomplishment. And then the second one is bringing a lot of development to the community, especially during this period of the pandemic. Like we're still in the pandemic, and while other areas are shutting down in terms of businesses are no longer able to sustain, primarily our local and small businesses, right? They are struggling just to even like stay afloat, and no amount of money that they're receiving grant wise is really equating for them to like make a dollar. Like they still have to pay their rent, they still have to pay insurance, they're paying their employees. Now they have to increase minimum wage. So and then the cost of supplies is going up. It's like a never ending uphill battle for our small business owners. So we've been able to bring in businesses to sustain like our economic development. It's very hard to have holes or just like vacant or eyesores in your main streets on your corridors like Torrance and Ridge Road when there's no businesses there. That does nothing for the town. It's an eyesore, brings in no revenue. The tax rolls are just completely empty, and so we've managed to be able to say yes, we know it's a pandemic, guys, but we have availability and we have space, and now we have to offer opportunity and incentives to bring those businesses and let them know that the pandemic is going to end and you're able to sustain in Lansing for the following reasons. So we've been able to do that. More so it was like um, a collective effort. It's not just one person, right? Yeah, I am on economic development as the chair, but I'm not the sole person that actually do all the work, if that makes sense. It's like excuse me, it's definitely a collective effort, and it requires teamwork on behalf of our village administrator, our mayor, and the rest of, well, the zoning committee and our building commissioner. Like all these different layers all go into making sure that we can bring you, for example, Noah, if you have a business in, we want to work with the business owner so we don't make it difficult. We try to make it as convenient and easy process as possible because we already know what you're going through, the uphill battles, the different licensing and zoning that you may have to get done. And we understand that like leasing and renting space is not easy as well because everyone at this point is trying to like recoup what they lost, what they lost. So biggest that's one of the biggest challenges that I'm actually like happy to say that's a great accomplishment that we're able to list a good 8 or 9 new businesses that will be coming in over the course of 2022 and 2023. We have broke ground last Friday on the corner of Torrance and Thornton Lansing Road. It used to be Christian Community Health Center. That was their corporate office. It's a very old building. It used to be a bank before then. Now we're going to have Full Circle, and it's going to be a veteran housing and housing for people with disabilities. In conjunction with the Christian Community Health Center, they managed to also do a partnership with Full Circle. So they're going to keep the medical center portion open to the public still. So they'll still have the health center, and then they'll have the structure on the back end. We'll have housing for our veterans and housing for people with disabilities. So that is a new, I guess, building that will be coming, let's say, next fall for the not groundbreaking, for the ribbon cutting. So things are happening, and it takes a lot of convincing, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of um, collective energy. And it's very difficult to work with like 12 different people. But when you all have one common goal, you all want the same thing, we all work in a effective way where everybody will be happy at the end and get what they need. Let's see. So yeah, of course, economic development helping our small businesses. Let's talk about for our residents. Number of things is happening. We are looking more. So for economic development, that is for itself. I'm also on the airport chair for the airport, and that's a municipal airport. We do have a airport, and so we have many plans for the airport, but plans always require funding. You have a lot of ideas to do things, but if you don't have funding, you're not going to be able to get things done. So we're looking for funding to complete many of the plans of expanding our taxiway, expanding our runway, getting additional lighting, and of course we're like kind of low staff, so it's kind of like a complete rehaul of how we can implement and restructure how our airport is operating. And once we are established in terms of lighting and of infrastructure is set, and we have expanded um, runways, we can then start doing other things for partnerships to bring in more revenue in terms of like Amazon is close by, getting landing fees and things of that sort, and actually filling up the vacancies that we have at our hangar because we do rental of space. Residents are now like just like businesses need assistance. We all need assistance, like we all need help. But one of the things that I ran on was constituent services and resources because I came from the state. I worked with a state representative for 7.5 years. So constituent services was always about what programs are out there, what resources, what grants, what type of assistance can we help our residents. So CETA is an assistance program for those who need a rental assistance or utility assistance, but there's also other opportunities that our residents are not aware of. So Cook County did $75 million announcement of additional grant funding to help tenants and landlords because CETA has some type of stipulations or criteria where it's like, okay, homeowners, but what about people that rent and landlords that have properties that had this moratorium on where they couldn't collect rent for 10 months or close to a year? What we're going to do with them, how we're going to help them because they still got to pay their taxes and they still have to pay the mortgage on their building. So that $75 million announcement that the county announced, I want to say 2 months ago, ends tomorrow, the application. So we provided like a workshop through the township for residents to be aware that, hey, there is help if you need additional utilities and for your rent. You can get up to 18 months of assistance. That's great, especially if you're trying to play catch up. Some people are still not able to go back to work completely. Some are still working from home. So that is a resource. Another resource that we're trying to help is mainly no, I want to say it's mainly getting the word out, right? So it's there. Our issue is that our residents are they do they know about it? One, and do they know the steps of how to go about applying for it? And a lot of times they'll be like, "Oh, I heard," or seen in the news or something, but I don't know what it entails, how to go about doing it. And so that is a barrier, especially for people who don't have computers or internet. How do I go online and apply for something if I don't have a printer to scan, or you got to scan documents? So workshops, other than just talking to you and say this XYZ, now go online, have a good day. No, we're going to sit down and I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to have my computer, I got my scanner, and I'm going to apply for the loan or the assistance programs for you. That is what the workshop entailed yesterday. And we also did it virtual for people who couldn't come in, walk through. And then there's another program for residents, but it's all these, of course, Noah, have to be, you have to qualify, right? So there's criteria, and a lot of times, a lot of folks that actually also need help may be over a threshold of whatever the minimum 50,000 or 40,000, whatever the median or minimum income would be. You still need assistance because you still have other things you have to pay. You might have some struggles getting food because food is expensive, gas is expensive, everything you touch is expensive. Um, Chicago Bungalow Association also has a Chicago Ventures Homeland Association um, program that was a pilot program prior to COVID, and I think they're re-establishing it where they can help people who need furnace, HVAC unit, air conditioning, heating. Um, a lot of times people need roof repairs, um, porch repairs, like your stairs that may be concrete or wood. But a lot of those home improvements that you just don't have that little extra money to get done, that like is a big burden. Like you ever think about, I'm trying to find a unique way to say it. Um, it, when your heat goes out or your air conditioner go out in the dead summer and it's hot, it's like, wow, if it's not one thing, it's another type deal. And it's going to cost you a substantial amount of money that you probably don't have right on hand. That's the same thing with like heating. As soon as it gets super cold, someone's heater probably going to need servicing or whatever. But it usually happens like that. So the Ventures Home Association offers the extended portion of whatever like CETA doesn't cover or the weatherization programs doesn't cover. But you also have to qualify for that. So we want our seniors and our residents to be able to make home improvements. If you're already struggling with more rent, mortgage, and you got to pay this loan, you have to pay um, insurance. As soon as you got a roof leak, that's extra money. As soon as your hot water tank heater stops, all this, or a flood comes, it's like the unexpected. That's extra money. So residents need help in that regard. I feel like I'm rambling now, so you can tell me, or stop me, or ask something else.
Sure, yeah.
uh,
Hold on.